most of the time when you hear the word fan games, you're also thinking about the words ROM hack. And I love playing ROM hacks developed by other people. And some of these ROM hacks, like for example Super Mario 64 ROM hacks, have been extremely well done to the point that they are looking like an actual Mario game. But fan games have been a little bit of a rocky start in terms of like their relationship with actual developers. So today we're going to be taking a look at an article that demonstrates why is there a rocky relationship when it comes to fan games and the developers. But before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like and share and subscribe below for even more gaming commentaries. And we will start our Discord server very soon this week. And we will be live on Kick and YouTube as well in July. So let's get started with my channel, our main channel here. So yesterday I asked, should I do a channel for horror games or should I do a fan game channel? For example, Mario, Sonic, Legend of Zelda. Right now the vote is still going on, so you still have time to vote. But right now, 60% of you are saying fan games, 40% of you are saying horror games, including ROM hacks. And speaking of Sonic games, no matter what happens, I am going to be playing Sonic's fan games on the Francis the Hedgehog channel to get it started. But what you are here for is the article. And today's article is brought to you by the site Pararium, and the headline reads, "The rocky relationship between fan games and developers explained." So let's go ahead and read the article to give you guys some insight on this rocky relationship. Here we go. Wish that your favorite games did a little bit more? Want to play classics that have been updated for modern technology? Maybe you should explore what fan games have to offer. As gamers, we know that the standard way to play is to buy or download a game for free from an established publisher like Nintendo. The publishers and developers make sure that you get the product they intend to deliver. These are game creators who get all the credit, and yet the humble fan game has always had a place in the community. Whether they play an existing game or build on a new idea entirely for an existing series, a fan game can tap into exactly what their fellow gamers want to see. At the end of the day, games are here for you to enjoy. So if they come in the form of fan game rather than officially licensed property, should it matter? Well, as you can see below, a major arguing point in gaming remains to be the presence of fan games. So here we're delving into this unsung corner of gaming, looking at what fan games have found a home and where others have shunned. So let's talk about what is a fan game. A fan game is a video game that is made by people who are not attached to a development studio or publishing company. Usually they are fans of the original game. You'll often find a fan game to be an existing game either as a remake, a modification, or a clone. Some see fan games as a form of user-created content, while others question their validity and strike them down as copyright infringements. The internet is loaded with fan game creations, with their origins tracing back to the mid-90s, 1990s. Some fan games have gone to become their own official standalone titles. Others have reached huge player bases and fan acclaim, only for major companies to remove them. I'm looking at you, Nintendo. That's right. And we're gonna be talking about why Nintendo in particular has been striking down fan games, mods, and they recently a like and not only fan games and mods, but we have seen how Activision in recent times have been striking down and cease and desist of fan-made projects like SM2, and X Labs. And they were made, those two particular mods were supposed to be made for security in mind, and they struck them down. So Nintendo is no stranger to this either. They know they've been known to strike them down. So let's take a look at some fan games mods, and some are standalone creations. Let's have a look. One of the more common ways for a fan game to be made is through the piggybacking a method of a building of a mod. And one of the good games that have been doing this is Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls Skyrim has been well received to the point that they want mods for the games. Several official game developers grant access to their source code, enable modifications, and make development or editing tools available to the community. This has spawned some of the biggest PvP games. And there's a game that I want to actually play for you guys on the channel called Cyberpunk 2077. And not only is the game, they actually allow you to modify the game with the Project Red code thing that they let you play for free. You can modify the game and make your own cool experiences. And we're gonna dive into those too. Let's continue. This method of creating a fan game is better received by gaming companies. As you can imagine, developers that offer tools to adapt to their creations are happier to see fan games than those who don't. I'm looking at you, Nintendo. Of course, there are usually rules with the creator content needing to expand rather than just change the core title. Exactly right. The idea of a fan game is not only to be a fan of the game, but to also expand further on said game. Now, keep in mind there are rules, and you cannot just slap a color change and call it a day. That's not how this works. You have to actually expand on the content. Maybe predict a story, make a story out of said content. You gotta make it innovative. Let's continue on with the standalone. On the flip side, you have the standalone fan game. Within several of the game-making sandbox games, fans will try to recreate their own favorite titles. Equally, you can turn the readily available game engines such as Unity, GameMaker, Crystal Space, or Headcanon. The free platforms and engines tend to be the choice. With fewer restrictions or a separate platform to build a game, many standalone fan games heavily draw from the mechanics and aesthetics of existing titles. This isn't always just to make quick cash though. Most seek to improve or add different spin to favorite fan games of the past, particularly long-lost retro games. So here we're talking about free platforms here, like Maker, Crystal Space, Headcanon, Unity, and of course the Unreal Engine for Fortnite. Although Unreal Engine for Fortnite is particularly for Fortnite, it does count as a fan game if you're making it from there, because you're building on top of what Fortnite already gave us. For example, you saw us recently live stream the UEFN maps, like the zombie games that we have been showing you. Those are particularly fan games, particularly for Fortnite. But they allow it because it's part of their engine. Also, RPG Maker can be considered, although a lot of people do not like, because most of the time they don't innovate on RPG Maker. Okay, so let's talk about what is the best fan game as we continue the article. What is the best fan game? The best fan game choice depends on your preference, whether you prefer novel strategy games or remakes of your classics. Your choice of fan game will differ. However, the consensus in gaming world point to a major battle royale title or the two esports games that have awarded the most money. And of course, why not? Like Call of Duty, you have Battle Royale, Call of Duty, you have PUBG, Warzone, and recently they just announced that they're making Warzone for mobile, and I might try that out. Okay, so anything that has money involved, that's where a lot of people want to make the fan game on. Let's continue now with, of course, Nintendo. Because why not? Those who oppose fan games, Nintendo. If you want a prime example of a company that hates fan games, look no further than the friendly Japanese giant Nintendo. Nintendo IPs have been a fan favorite of creators over the decades, but they notoriously shut down such efforts. I believe, however, there was one game that was trying to be made in Unity or Unreal Engine, and based on what I saw on the graphics, it's the original Super Mario 64, but they updated the graphics to make it more greener, more beautiful, or make it more modern in 2023 gaming terms. But Nintendo shut it down. Well, obviously it's because of IP, but this was a fan-made project making no money, zero money. You have to consider that when you buy fan game, or excuse me, when you play fan games. Let's continue. In 2021 alone, Nintendo issued a DMCA notice against 3791 fan 3791 fan game creations on the platform GameJolt. Others ousted by the company include the following: a new monster catching game in their series built on original assets, that is Pokemon. A high definition creation of a classic Nintendo 64 title in 2015. I believe that is Super Mario 64. And number 3, a game maker that allows fans to create their own game maps for Hyrule. I have never heard of this game, unfortunately, but it reminds me of Mario Maker. Nintendo isn't the only company that hunts down any fan game that rises to prominence. The likes of Activision, Vivendi, Universal, Sega, Konami, and Take-Two Interactive have also put an end to at least one fan game. Now, Activision recently is about the mods, but that's still taking them down. So they issued what they call a cease and desist to SM2 and XLab. The question is, why does Nintendo hate fan games? Nintendo is incredibly protective of their IP because it wants to uphold the brand identity of producing high quality products. So when a fan game is released that infringes the copyrights and trademarks to its IP, they see any potential issues as reflecting badly on the original products. So, ultimate question, are fan games bad? Many fan games creations don't work well or are blatant copyright infringements. However, for the most part, a fan game is made from passion, inspiration, and a desire to improve a much loved product. So fan games aren't inherently bad. You just need to find the ones that play fair. Basically, find the ones that are playing by the rules, making an innovative game, not copying not copying step for step on Nintendo in particular, and trying to have fun with it. That's the most important idea. Can you make a fan game that is also fun? We're almost done with the article here. Some fan games are getting major publisher backing. Nintendo certainly takes the hardest stand against each fan game that it encounters to be drawing from its properties. On the flip side, you'll find many other major publishers either allowing fan games to exist or fully endorsing them and giving their own backing. Valve, the one of Steam, has created somewhat of a fan game darling, not only allowing for many fan game creations to exist on the Steam platform, but even giving financial backing in some instances. Some of the biggest online competitive titles today only exist because Valve has backed the original fan game. Fan friendly developers. Fan game friendly developers. Along with Valve, Capcom is a fan game friendly on occasion. Bethesda with Cyberpunk. Bethesda Softworks have inspired fan games recreations within their expensive open worlds, even releasing editions of games with fan-made mods. Although you will see Activision ending some fan game products, they have also backed fan development teams. It's impossible to imagine a world of gaming without an abundance of fan game creations. While they're fleeting, you can find many fan games to try, and some that simply started out as a fan game. And that's the end of today's article and today's reading. So, let's summarize this because as a gamer myself, I have played ROM hacks. And it just so happens that yesterday I announced I'm starting to play Sonic fan games for the Francis the Hedgehog channel. And maybe a fan game channel itself if the votes go the way that it wants to. So, I ask you today's question of the day with this commentary. Do you like fan games? And if so, what types of fan games are you interested in? Let me know in the comments below because you never know if that fan game channel gets made. I do attend to play more fan games than usual. Fan games don't get as much love as you think. Yes, we have our AAA developers. And yes, we have our indie games. But the fan games are kind of in the low tier, hard to not hard to play, but hard to get popular. Some fan games are really neat though, so you gotta respect that. Okay? So let me know what you think in the comments below. That is it for today's commentary. We'll see you guys for the next one when we talk about other gaming topics. If you learned something new today, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next RetroYuuki gaming commentary.